these games. The first one is one that we already mentioned. It's number 7 BYU, who are 8-0 on the year, on the road against the number 8 Texas Tech Raiders, who are 8-1. Kickoff is at 12 p.m. Eastern time on ABC. Texas Tech right now are favored by 10.5 points. The over-under is set at 52.5.
You've got this, Trev. This is, interestingly, the third all-time meeting between BYU and Texas Tech. The most recent game was a game in 2023 that BYU won. The previous meeting, Trevor, is 1940. So this is not a game we've seen that often. Very fascinating game to me. This is for the Big 12 supremacy here. I think the winner of this game, it's not a lock. It would be stupid for anyone with 3 games left in Big 12 play to say, done deal, this team's in, unless they are mathematically locked in, because as you and I both know, Trev, this is a league where chaos can and often does happen. I think you said going into November last year, did you say this right? Was this correct, that going into November, of all the teams that had a shot to win the league, Arizona State had the lowest odds to win the Big 12, and they won the Big 12? But the winner, especially if it's BYU, has a tremendous opportunity to essentially say, just handle your business and you're fine. Matter of fact, I think if BYU wins this game, they can drop a game and still be in the Big 12 title game.
Yeah.
Because of what happened last weekend, because of Cincinnati losing. They can't have more than one loss. BYU obviously is the only undefeated team in the league. Texas Tech's the only team with one loss. So BYU would literally have to drop 2 of their final 3, and even then, I don't know what the tiebreakers would be. So they'd have to fall apart after this. So if BYU wins, it's incredibly hard for them to get knocked out of the playoff. If Texas Tech wins, they have a great shot, in my opinion, to still get in. I could see Texas Tech maybe dropping a game in a really close game and still maybe being right there at the 11 seed when it's all said and done, depending on how things shake out. But this is a big game, Trev. I love this matchup because it's 2 very different teams. One team sort of that built from it within, through recruiting, through development, hard work, blue collar, win gritty games, find ways to win, not always pretty, against the team that basically rebuilt themselves through the portal, brand new roster, and Joey McGuire's done a masterful job of bringing all those new faces together with some of the returners, battled through quarterback injuries. They've their starter got hurt, then their backup got hurt, their starter's now back, and they have just, outside of the one game they lost with their quarterback out, has been dominant this season. These teams could not be any more different in how they're put together and how they've gone through the season. Other than this, they both know how to win. And that's what's made these 2 teams really good. Joey McGuire's done a tremendous job with this team. It's not as easy as people think to have a team that's got that many transfers come together as quickly as they did. That requires great leadership that starts at the top. And then just the job that Kalani Sitake has done the last 2 years at BYU is outstanding. For those who don't remember, their starting quarterback got kicked out of school right before the season started. I think it was June, right? May or June. And their quarterback, the next guy on the list, is a true freshman, Bear Bachmeier. Just a tremendous story. But 2 teams, surprisingly, Trevor, that if you haven't watched these 2 teams, watch this game, because what you're going to find is these are 2 very well coached, but also 2 physical football teams that like to run the football. They go about it very differently, but they have a lot of the same goals. Be physical, be sound, and run the football. And I'm excited about this game, Trev. I mean, on paper, this game shouldn't necessarily be all that close. What did you say the line was from FanDuel?
10.5.
That surprised me a little bit, except that you look at and say, well, 10.5, if they only win by 10, that's the closest victory that Texas Tech will have had all year. They dominate teams, and BYU just finds ways to win. I'm very much looking forward to watching this game. Like, I thought BYU was going to get beat when they went on the road against Iowa State. I was like, when we talked about that game on the show, so keep your eye on this game, man. Like, I think Iowa State could win this football game. I think I might have even predicted Iowa State to win. I don't know if we did predictions for that game or not. I probably would have. And early on, I'm like, oh, yeah, that's what we thought. And then BYU just charges back and ends up winning by 2 touchdowns. So 2 very good football teams. 2 very good football teams.
Led by 2 very good quarterbacks. Bear Bachmeier is doing some awesome stuff right now for BYU. That guy is a dude. He is extremely fun to watch, too. I mean, you go and you look at what he's done so far in the season. He has almost 1,700 passing yards, 11 passing touchdowns. He's taking care of the football, and he's also a threat with his legs, 408 rushing yards on the season and 9 rushing touchdowns. I mean, he has 20 total touchdowns and 3 picks as a true freshman. It's not bad. Definitely not bad. And then on the other side, like you mentioned earlier, I mean, in every single game that Texas Tech has had Bear and Morton, they've been absolutely annihilating people. Bear and Morton is also a dude. I mean, missing a game, he has more passing yards than what Bear Bachmeier does. 15 passing touchdowns, 4 interceptions. Not much of a threat as a runner. He's strictly a pocket passer, but he is the real deal for the Red Raiders.
He missed 2 games.
Yeah.
And parts of another.
Yeah.
He missed Arizona State and Oklahoma State and only threw 12 passes for 91 yards in the win over Kansas. So, and to your point, Trev, I mean, he's got 15 touchdowns in basically 6.5 starts. Through a lot of it came early. He had 11 touchdowns in the first 3 games. And since then, he's had 4 touchdowns and 3 picks and since they got into Big 12 play. But again, part of that's because against Kansas State last weekend, he went 21 of 32, 65.6%. 249 yards, only 7.8 per carry, 2 touchdowns and a pick. But that's against a Kansas State defense that had been playing pretty good football in recent games. And that was his first game back in a month. So he's a good football player. And we talk about the overcoming losses that BYU had to do, but let's not forget that Quentin Joyner got hurt. He was supposed to be a big-time playmaker, the USC transfer. He was supposed to be a big-time playmaker for this Texas Tech team on offense. He got hurt. And then Texas Tech already had to overcome the loss of Taj Brooks, who's in the NFL now, who was their 1,500-yard rusher last year. And guys just keep stepping up. Cameron Dickey stepped up. They've got a bit of a 2-headed monster at running back. Cameron Dickey this season has rushed for 746 yards, 5.6 per carry, 10 touchdowns, also has 14 catches on the season. He had a 263-yard performance against Kansas, which has kind of helped fuel his resume a little bit, Trev, and helped him with his performance. And this is a kid that was recruited, I believe, by Texas Tech. He's been there the last 2 years. They also have Jacoby Williams, who was part of the team last year as well. I think another kid that they recruited. He's got 525 yards rushing, 5.7 yards per carry, 5 touchdowns, but he also has 21 catches for 300 yards. And he also has a kick return for a touchdown. So despite losing Quentin Joyner, their backfield has been very good. And it's actually Williams, who's their second leading rusher, who's had more 100-yard games, including a really good performance last week against K-State, where he went for $135, 7.9 yards per carry, and a touchdown. But it's that dynamic ability out of the backfield. They've got over 1,200 yards rushing. And if you just look at the numbers I just gave you, they also have 35 catches, those 2 backs, for, let me do the math here, 437 yards and 3 more touchdowns. They're not Jeremiah Love and Jadarian Price, but this is one of the more underrated, really impactful 1-2 running back duos in college football, in that they make plays, run game, return and receiving game, and then in only 4 returns, Jacoby Williams has already got a house call. So this is a really fun group, and if you haven't watched Texas Tech play this year, do so. And then, of course, the addition of David Bailey has just been enormous for that defense. He has been an absolute monster for that defense. He's got 14 tackles for loss and 11.5 sacks already on the season. He's been an absolute terror for the Texas Tech defense. And if BYU is going to win this game, they're going to have to find a way to deal with David Bailey.
Well, Bryan, I know we talked a little bit already about what this game means for each team because they're both ranked ahead of Notre Dame in the playoffs. We talked about what implications it has in conference. I didn't know if there was anything else that you wanted to add before we got to predictions.
Yeah, just the one question mark is obviously I'm just did the latest update to see if there was anything new. LJ Martin is still, I think, questionable for this game. That could be the big wild card. If he's not good to go, if he's not able to kind of be, or at least even close to 100%, that could hurt him a little bit, and that puts a lot of pressure on Bear Bachmeier, because Bear Bachmeier is their number 2 leading rusher at 408 yards. Their next leading rushers only got 101 yards. So LJ Martin's got 789 yards on 132 carries, 6 yards a carry, 5 touchdowns on the season. He's a very experienced back. He rushed for over 1,200 yards the 2 previous years for them. He's a big-time football player. It's going to be a lot harder to win this football game if LJ Martin either can't go or he's not close to 100%. Because I don't know if Bear is ready yet to put the team completely on his shoulders and go out there and win a game like this. So they're going to have to hope that he can kind of grind one out and put together that strong performance in this game. But that's they're going to need that. But we wrap up with the kind of what's at stake, Trevor. I mean, for BYU, I kind of wonder. Well, let me ask you this question, Trev. We talked about this in the past one. Who do you think has the best chance to lose this game and still get in?
BYU, I think. Yeah, they're the undefeated team right now. I think that they can suffer this loss. And then I go and I look at what's on the rest of their schedule as well. I personally don't think it's that difficult. Like, they're at home against TCU, which I think helps them out. If that was on the road, I think it'd be a little bit different of a story. And then Cincinnati, they get them on the road, and then they're home against UCF this year. That's not good. I think that they have the best chance, considering they're already undefeated. A loss here would tie them in conference with Texas Tech. And, I mean, again, Texas Tech, the rest of their schedule is also very easy. They get UCF on the road and then on the road against West Virginia. Could be a sneaky game, but I'm not willing to bank on it.
Yep. I tend to agree with you on that, Trev. Obviously, Texas Tech has one fewer game left to play.
Yeah.
So if they win, they're in a great position. I do think the TCU game, though, for BYU could be really dangerous. BYU has a very highly ranked pass defense. They've only given up 188 yards this year. But I haven't been necessarily in love with their pass defense this year, Trev. I think a lot of that has to do with they just haven't played any good teams that can throw the football very well. They forced a lot of turnovers from Rocco Beck last week, but he also had made a lot of plays throwing the football. ECU throw him on as well. I'd be a little nervous about having to defend Josh Hoover. Hopefully you can do to him what you did to Rocco Beck, which is, I don't care if you give up yards, but force those turnovers. But I do think Texas Tech has the easier path forward. But then that would be that second loss. So, like, what's at stake? I tend to agree with your point. I think Texas Tech is going to have a much tougher time. They're going to have to kind of then go win the Big 12. Because here's the thing. If, let's say, Texas Tech is 11th and they go out and play in the Big 12 title game in a rematch against BYU, let's say they lose this game and they lose again. I know the committee's like, we're not going to punish you, but that second loss, I wonder how that could be. Could that be that thing that you need for a second ACC team to jump them? Let's say the ACC loser has a better performance or something like that. You want to win this game. You don't want to put this thing in the committee's hands if you're Texas Tech. And if you're BYU, I mean, your fate is 100% in your own hands right now. To the point where not only if you win this game, Trev, not only are you pretty much a lock to get in, you're a Big 12 title game win away from not even having to play in the first round. I could certainly see BYU jumping one of the SEC teams and, or even two and getting and hosting. Like, I could see that. I don't think that Ole Miss is locked in front of BYU. If BYU wins out, I don't think Georgia or Alabama, one of those two teams, is necessarily locked in to be ahead of BYU if they win out. So it's going to be very fascinating to see but at the end of the day, Trev, I think beating Texas Tech at Texas Tech is going to be a tough ask for BYU. What are your thoughts on the matchup? And then let's get our predictions in.
Yeah, I echo a lot of the same sentiment that you do. I think that things aren't trending in like the best direction right now for BYU. And I'm not talking about the season as a whole, but the LJ Martin kid I don't see him being 100% for this game, even if he's deemed good to go. And
Right.
that's
Agreed.
that's a lot of pressure to put on Bear Bachmeier in another really rough environment. Now, I love the way that he performed against Iowa State on the road, and we talked about it at that time that, Matt Campbell gets that team up to play at home now. Like, that is not an easy place to go in and win at, and I think that BYU, once you factor in the travel as well, I think that was a really admirable performance. I also think Texas Tech is a much better team than Iowa State is. I think they're a little bit more talented than what Iowa State is. I think that's going to be a really rough time for BYU on the road. And it's what takes today. You have a team in Texas Tech that has just been beating the brakes out of people outside of the one loss when they didn't have Baron Morton. And you have a team in BYU that they're kind of won ugly a little bit. They beat Colorado by 3, and Colorado is not good. They beat West Virginia by 14. They beat Arizona on the road by 6. Beat Utah by 3. Like I said, their Iowa State win was really impressive, but outside of that,
didn't Colorado didn't Georgia Tech turn the ball over on like 3 of their first 5 possessions against Colorado on the road and still won that game? Do you remember that?
Touchdown. Yeah, not even like they won it overtime in like a 2-point conversion. They just outright in regulation won by a touchdown.
Yeah.
And started the game, I think, turnover, punt, turnover.
Yes.
Like Colorado is not good, bro.
And still won on the road. They're not good.
No.
They're not good. I love this BYU team, Trev. I do. They're so much fun to watch. I have a great respect for them. Their fan base is on Twitter's a little weird, but most fan bases on Twitter are a little weird. There's a lot of bitterness about Notre Dame, and I get it to a degree. Notre Dame was supposed to have a return trip to Provo. They never did it. They didn't honor their contract. I don't think that's right. They should do that. And so they're like, yeah, bring on Notre Dame. I'm like, you guys got something else you need to worry about before Notre Dame. Like, I'm sorry. Like, A, you don't want that smoke. B, you need to worry about Texas Tech a little bit before you start worrying about Notre Dame. I just think it's real simple, Trevor. I just think Texas Tech's a better football team. And like you said, they lost 1 game with their backup quarterback. I don't see them. I just don't think that BYU has the horsepower. I think if they were at home, they'd have a much better shot. But honestly, I would probably pick Texas Tech to win this game, even if it was in Provo. And that's not a shot at all on Texas Tech. I just like this Texas Tech team. I mean, BYU. I like this Texas Tech team. We talked about the running backs. We didn't talk about the receivers. Caleb Douglas is a really good football player. Reggie Virgil's had a really nice season for them. If Notre Dame fans should remember him, he was that big, tall kid that had the long reception against Notre Dame last year that we talked about going into that game. Is like, this is a power 4 receiver. And, he's having a really nice year as well. They got weapons in the pass game. They got dynamic pass rushers. The key is if you can protect the quarterback and have time to throw, you can throw on this football team. But not a lot of teams with David Bailey have had a lot of time to throw the football. So I just think this is a good team. I just think Texas Tech's a better team. And I think they win. And I think that they win somewhat comfortably in this game, Trevor. What say you? I have a score prediction. I'll let you give yours first.
Yeah, I have Texas Tech winning this one as well. The biggest thing in this matchup for me is will BYU be able to take care of the football. Texas Tech is the number 2 team in the country in generating turnovers. They have 20 on the year, 10 interceptions, 10 fumbles gained. On the flip side of the coin, you have BYU, who ranked 5th in the country in turnovers lost. They do a really good job of taking care of the football. I believe Bear Bachmeier only has 3 interceptions on the season. And I'm looking right now. He has 3 interceptions on the season. 1 came against West Virginia, 2 against Arizona on the road, which is one of the reasons why this game went into double overtime.
Exactly.
Outside of that, he hasn't thrown an interception. And so him taking care of the football, it's a chain reaction. I think with LJ Martin being hurt, you put more on the shoulders of Bear Bachmeier. I think he feels like he's going to have to make some plays. It's one of the reasons why I think Texas Tech is going to win this one. I think turnover battle is going to go a long way in this one. I have Texas Tech winning 31-24 in this game.
We're close. I'm 34-20. I just think Texas Tech's going to jump ahead on them early. It's going to force BYU to have to throw more. You're going to see some mistakes from Bear. And I just think Texas Tech has a convincing win.